Rachel Holt for NESN.com alongside John Halpin of Fox Sports. John, thanks for being here.
Anytime, Rachel. Happy almost Thanksgiving.
Happy almost Thanksgiving, and it's a happy time for fantasy football players because we're all making that playoff push. I don't know about you, but in the league that I care the most about, I'm not in the playoffs, so it's kind of bittersweet even talking about the fantasy football season. But let's try to help those people out who are still thriving in their leagues and doing well. First off, in Week 12, this is the first time since Week 3 that there's no teams on byes, so that's something to look forward to. Also remember, because it's Thanksgiving, it's that special time, there's 3 teams playing on Thursday starting at 12:30 p.m. Eastern time, so make sure you set your rosters early on. And Don, as I mentioned, a lot of people are looking at those playoffs. For those that maybe this is their first time or first experience even getting into the playoffs, what's your advice as we head into Week 12?
Well, the thing is, as you get close to the playoffs, your bench gets less important. Along the way, you've worried about depth. Now you're worried about the strongest starting lineup possible. So if you could still make trades in your league, if you didn't have a deadline, you can do a little of that. You can try to package 2-for-1s. Otherwise, maybe getting handcuffs for your running back. I generally don't advocate drafting those, but maybe at this point, if you have Ezekiel Elliott, picking up Alfred Morris might not be a bad idea, something like that.
Okay, as far as running backs we can target on the waiver wire this week, one of the guys we looked at last week was CJ Prosise, and of course, he might be out for the rest of the season. So as far as guys we can pick up this week on the waiver wire, who are you targeting?
Well, unfortunately, Thomas Rawls is going to step in, is owned in a lot of leagues, so you probably can't get him. The two guys I'm looking at, Wendell Smallwood from the Eagles is an interesting one. You can't get Thomas Rawls, who replaces CJ Prosise. He's gone in most leagues. Wendell Smallwood from the Eagles. Ryan Matthews got hurt. He hurt his knee. Sounds like they're calling it a day-to-day knee sprain. Darren Sproles fractured a rib, but it sounds like he's going to play. So Wendell Smallwood, available in most leagues. You're going to have to wait on Ryan Matthews' status, but if Matthews doesn't play, Smallwood should get probably 12 to 15 touches. Another guy you might want to look at, Tim Hightower. Look, Mark Ingram's in the concussion protocol. Hightower, last I checked, was available in about 2/3 of the leagues at FoxSports.com. If Ingram can't go, Hightower will be as busy as he wants to be.
A lot of questions at the QB position. Andrew Luck placed in concussion protocol. He might not be good to go for Thursday. I want to mention a name to you that I think you've mentioned to me before is Colin Kaepernick. He's averaging the 9th most fantasy points since he got the starting job back in Week 6. That's pretty incredible because you hear a name like that, you're not excited to have him on your fantasy roster. But in retrospect, when you look at the stats, not a bad pick.
I am so excited to have Colin Kaepernick on my fantasy roster. Here's the thing. The great thing about fantasy Colin Kaepernick is it almost doesn't matter how bad he is in real life. He can complete 50% of his passes, throw 2 interceptions. But if he throws a touchdown and runs for 50 yards and a touchdown, you've got a productive day. In our game at Fox, he's averaged 24.6 points a game in his 5 starts. The guy is almost matchup proof. Even if he has a terrible real life game, he's usually productive in fantasy. And he's just hard to argue with.
Are there any tight ends that you would target this week?
There are. And here's the thing. The popular one is going to be Jared Cook. The Packers have been waiting for him to come back all year. He had a nice game against the Redskins. Problem is the Packers are playing the Eagles. The Eagles have actually been very tough on tight ends. Look, I wouldn't hate if you picked up Cook, but if you can't get him, and a lot of people will go after him, I might look at Lance Kendricks on the Rams. In Jared Goff's first game, look, Kendricks has been pretty good for about a month and a half. In Jared Goff's first game, he targeted Kendricks 7 times. I think he caught 4 for 38 yards. I wouldn't have a problem starting Kendricks against the Saints.
Okay, I have to ask you now about streaming defenses. I don't know if you do this, but I certainly do. And this week I targeted whoever was playing the Cleveland Browns. I picked on the little guys, and it worked out for me because the Pittsburgh Steelers, they racked up 8 sacks in that game. Now I have a question for you about this week because the Steelers, they take on the Colts, and as we mentioned, Andrew Luck may not be playing, so they'll go against a backup quarterback in that league. Or we have the Giants who take on the Browns this week. So as far as streaming options for defenses, who are you looking at?
Those are 2 good ones. I like the Giants. I'll give you one more, though. The Titans. The Titans are owned in about 10% of leagues at FoxSports.com. The Bears, sounds like Jay Cutler's not going to play. Matt Barkley's going to be the quarterback. They lost Alshon Jeffrey to suspension 2 weeks ago. They lost Zach Miller to a broken foot the other day. The Bears are a train wreck right now. Everybody's hurt. They weren't good to begin with. The Titans come to town with a defense that can get to the passer. I really like them against Matt Barkley if that's the way it turns out.
Okay, as far as matchups go this week, what are some exciting games you're looking at? I know this deviates from the fantasy football talk, but the Cowboys-Redskins is the one that I'm looking at. I can't believe they are rolling as much as they have been. I think this is the single season record for wins in a row for the Cowboys, which is pretty incredible. So as far as games that you have highlighted on the schedule, what teams and games should we really look out for this week?
Well, you took the words right out of my mouth with the Cowboys and Redskins. I kind of like all the Thanksgiving games. I like the night game more before Luck got hurt. But that Cowboys-Redskins game, from both a fantasy and a real-life standpoint, it's really good. You know, I mean, everybody's talking about the Cowboys and Prescott and Elliott, and they've been terrific. But the Redskins have been really good. Rob Kelly's running really well. And I feel like, you know, at some point we have to give Kirk Cousins more credit than we've been giving him all along. The guy, since he's been playing for the last this season and last season, he's been really good. And I think that game, the offense tends to contract a little because the Cowboys control the ball so much that the other team doesn't get as many plays off, basically. I think the Redskins and them is a really nice matchup. I can't wait to watch it.
Okay, John, you've given us some really good stuff. If we want more from you as we head into Week 12, where can we find you?
You can find all my work at foxsports.com/fantasy, and anytime I've got something new ready, I tweet it out from @jhalpin37.
Okay, thanks for your time, and good luck in Week 12, everyone.